Hey folks, James Dickens with Paratus Defense. The gun tip of the week is oiling your firearms, particularly your pistols. This is my daily carry, my Glock 19, and in a second I'm going to show you how I oil my Glock. But first, let me quickly tell you about the oil that I use. Now, I used to use this old spray oil, and they still make this. This is very popular. This is probably one of the more popular methods of lubricating your firearms. The thing that I always had a problem with was not the actual oil, but the delivery system. This little press button nozzle with this, or press button trigger with this little plastic nozzle. It can get the oil where you need it, but it never got it in the amounts that I wanted. On some pieces of my gun, I just may want a drop or two. And when I press this, even as light as I can, it really just kind of splatters all over the place. It's pretty messy. I never really liked this. And about a year ago, I found this. It's called Pro Shot Zero Friction. Now, the oil is fine. The oil is not really what I'm concerned about. It's good oil. What I'm really concerned with is the actual delivery system. This is a squeeze bottle, and it has a little steel needle, which allows me to get the oil right where I want it on my firearm, and more importantly, in the amounts that I want. If I just want a drop or two, I just give it a little squeeze, and out comes a drop or two. What's also nice is that when this oil is empty, I can refill it with any oil that I want to. Let's take a look at how we lubricate this Glock. Alright folks, let's take a look at how I lubricate this pistol. Now I did go shooting today, and I'm going to be cleaning all of my firearms a little later this afternoon, but just for the sake of this video, I'm going to go ahead and just oil the gun, and you can see how I do that. Again, this is a Glock 19. Fantastic design. The designer of these guns, the designer of most other modern firearms, Smith & Wesson, Car Arms, Sig Sauer, those designers put a lot of work into designing those guns from the ground up to be reliable. They've done their part. They've done their job. You need to do your job and keep your guns clean and lubed all the time. Okay? It's just good for the gun. It's good for the life of the gun. It will make your guns last longer. Do you need to oil this gun? No. It will run dry. It's not good for the gun, though. It will cause some of the pieces to wear out a little bit faster, and who wants that, right? So let's take a look at this. I'm going to break it down very quickly into its major components. Okay. Frame, slide, barrel, guide rod, and recoil spring. Okay, and we're obviously not going to take that apart. So, let's start with the frame. If you're familiar with the 1911 style frame, then what you're used to is a full-length rail. Your Glock style firearms do not have that. Instead, they've got two metal tabs in the front and two metal tabs in the back. Structurally, that is the only way that this frame comes in contact and is supporting this slide. Okay, so can you take this little needle and run oil all along the length of this groove where the tabs slide? Yeah, you can. I personally think that's too much oil, not because of the sludge and the grime that it's going to cause. And what I mean by that is every drop of oil that you put into a gun, if you use the gun, now if you put it in long-term storage, that's different. But if you actually use the gun, you daily carry it, you keep it in your car, it's going to collect dust, it's going to collect lint, and that's all going to be attracted to this oil. It's all going to stick in the oil, and it's going to make sludge. Okay? Am I concerned about that messing up the function of this gun? No, honestly I'm not. This thing could be dunked into a bucket of sludge, and it's still going to fire flawlessly. Honestly, my main concern, I don't want this thing, dripping oil out of it, because I daily carry. And honestly, I don't want to get oil all over myself. And I'm sure many of you are the same way. So, I'm gonna just put a couple of drops of oil on these tabs, and that's it. I'm not gonna put any in the actual grooves. When I put this back together, the oil will transfer and will be just fine. I'm also gonna put, I don't know if you can see this, but I'm gonna put just one drop of oil right here, because this does come in contact with this on every shot. Alright? Again, some people will say, well, never put any oil. I haven't fully disassembled it, but so you can't see this, but behind your back plate is a little there's a tunnel, and that's where your firing pin is. People will say, don't put any oil in there because it's just going to build up sludge or whatever. It makes no difference, especially on a gun like this. So when I fully disassemble my gun, when I take it down to pins and springs, do I put a couple of drops of oil in there? Yeah, of course I do. Yes, I do. I'll put a little drop of oil on just about every part of this gun when I take it down to pins and springs, and just make sure that it's good and lubed, it's good and protected. Now, some of the non-moving parts, like these pins and things like that, they don't need any oil, obviously. So you don't need this thing to be, dripping like a sponge dipped in oil. Okay, that's not what we're going for. All right, so that's that. We talked about the slide, the guide rod, and the recoil spring. This is an aftermarket stainless steel guide rod with the factory recoil spring. There's a lot of friction on this with every shot, and so I do put a couple of drops of oil up and down this slide, and then when you reassemble it and you rack it 5-10 times, that oil will spread around. Moving on to the barrel, obviously you'll be oiling this thing after you clean it. So the first thing I do is take a couple of patch cloth, little patch squares, oil them up with a couple drops of oil, run them through the bore, through the chamber, through the bore. Okay, make sure that's good and oiled. Then run a couple of dry patches through it and get that excess oil out of there. Okay, you do want that to be dry, but you want there to be, you want there to be the presence of oil. Then you're going to put a couple of drops on the outside of the barrel, outside of the chamber. Just run them down with your finger. This is for a couple of reasons. Number one, for the lubrication, because this barrel is going to be sliding through this hole in the front of the slide, but also to protect it. Because of it sliding through this hole in the front of the slide, you get a lot of wear and tear here on the top of the barrel. You're taking off the finish, you're getting down to bare metal. And so we do want to do our best to try to protect it. So again, go on the sides of the chamber, get a little dot down here, just a little bit, and then we're pretty much done. So let's reassemble this thing. The stainless steel guide rod can sometimes make it a little bit harder to get in there. And that is pretty much it. Yeah, that'll do it. And then once we're done, like there's some drops of oil, there's some excess oil up here, there's some on the outside of the slide. I will take a paper towel and wipe that away. Rack it back and forth, 10, 20 times. Make sure that you don't hear any odd sounds. Make sure that everything is functioning. Make sure all the pieces are working correctly. After that, you're pretty much done. Just wipe it down, load it back up, put it on your belt, put it on your nightstand, put it in your truck, whatever. That's pretty much it, guys. Alright, folks, I hope you got something out of that. Again, I am James Dickens with Paratus Defense. Bottom line is, we are firearms instructors. So check out our Facebook, check out our website, paratusdefense.com. There's a link below. And take one of our classes. We are here in Georgia. We do teach classes in Atlanta, Rockmart, Georgia, Blue Ridge, Georgia. And we'd be glad to teach you. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.